Faeland is a visually stunning and narrative-driven Metroidvania game with smooth animations, fun exploration and great music. Even though it's still in early access, it already managed to impress me with its overall presentation and sound design. The story is pretty great so far, but I haven't seen enough of it yet to judge it fairly. It reminded me a lot of the Legend of Zelda franchise, and that's never a bad thing in my opinion. After a pretty long prologue that introduces you to the basic mechanics of this game, you end up in a cave barely alive, and your equipment is missing. The many hearts you had in the beginning are now gone, and you have no way to defend yourself. It's a pretty common trope in Metroidvanias to start with all your equipment and to lose it all later after a sudden event, but I think it was really well done in this game. You are for sure a lot more vulnerable without equipment, but most enemies don't deal a lot of damage, so it's still very doable. In fact, the whole early access version isn't that challenging, to be honest. I didn't even die once, because I always had enough food and potions in my inventory to heal myself. You can see this as a bad thing, but I think it's a good way to make this game really accessible to any kind of player. Maybe there will be more difficulty options available when it will be released on December 5th, but we will have to see. Anyways, when you finally are able to fight again, the combat is a bit slow paced. But not as slow paced as the first trailer of this game would have let you believe. It's pretty basic, but the great looking animations of both your character and the enemy make it a lot more engaging. I still have some issues with it though. For example, it can be a bit annoying when you can't react fast enough when you climb up a ledge and you get kicked or pushed off the platform again. And fighting in flowing water can be a bit tedious, especially if you have enemies that can jump away from you. It's not that big of a deal, but I thought it was worth mentioning. The level design is also a bit basic. This is to be expected if you go for a more slow-paced design, but it's still fun enough to not lose interest. The world and all the different environments are beautiful to look at and full of details. There were many times I stopped playing for a few seconds, just to take in the gorgeous scenery. It's all so carefully crafted. This makes exploring this world a really captivating experience. And the beautiful and nostalgic soundtrack elevates it even more. There were a few times I wished there was some kind of fast travel. But traversing through all these beautiful environments multiple times wasn't that big of a punishment. It only made me appreciate the world building even more. I still hope you will unlock fast travel later on in the game though. There are also a few boss fights in this version, and even though I really liked the look of these bosses, they weren't that difficult to fight against. They have very telegraphed attacks that are easy to dodge, but they can spawn in some mobs to keep you busy, and they can be really annoying, especially these tentacles during the Kraken fight. Luckily they don't deal a lot of damage, but they gave me a bit of trouble for sure. The limited combat can make the boss fights feel a bit clunky, to be honest, but the low difficulty made sure I didn't get too annoyed by it. I still think the Kraken fight could use a bit more improvements here and there to make it a bit more enjoyable though. I also came across a few bugs and glitches while exploring this world, like getting stuck and the only way to free myself was to restart the game. But I have played an older build of the early access version, so it could be a possibility this is already patched when the real early access version comes out, so keep that in mind. So in general, Faeland really impressed me with its great presentation and engaging gameplay. It took me 3 hours to finish this early access version, but I really enjoyed my time and now I'm really looking forward to play the rest of this game. It's far from being finished, but I'm really thankful I had the pleasure to try it out so early. I'm sure the final product is going to be amazing. And even though it's always a bit difficult to recommend an early access version of a Metroidvania game because of the limited exploration, I still highly recommend it because it is a bit more linear than most Metroidvanias I have played. It almost has like a chapter-based structure. I really think this version is a nice introduction to the magical and unforgettable journey that is awaiting you. But if you want to wait for the full experience, that's also understandable. Hopefully this game gets all the positive attention it deserves, because it definitely has the potential to be one of the greats. So be ready for a nice introduction to an amazing adventure set in a beautiful world full of magical creatures and breathtaking set pieces that will make you crave for more.